All right, the stock of the day is ticker NIO, NIO. This is a really popular Chinese EV company. Welcome back to 5 Minute DD, guys, where we're going to talk about everything you would want to know about NIO before you were to purchase it. As always, do your own research. This is not financial advice. Let's get into the pros of this company. So starting off, they had a strong quarter one of 2023 with a 7.7 increase in total revenue, which is great. You love to see more revenue. And they did have a little statement from their founder and chairman where he stated that NIO delivered 31,041 vehicles in the first quarter of 2023, ranking first in the premium battery electric vehicle market, priced over 400,000 RMB, which converts to about 56,000 USD in China for 12 consecutive quarters. No small feat. That is excellent. China has an insane EV market. I do like NIO. It is a little bit riskier when you're investing in foreign countries in their primary stock. You know, NIO is traded on the New York Stock Exchange, but a lot of the laws and whatnot of China are different than the US, and so the government does have a big grasp on the companies over there, and we've seen some crazy companies like Baba and whatnot take some hits based off legislation by the government. So it is a little bit riskier right off the bat than if you're looking at like Lucid or Tesla, but there are some pros to that because the Chinese EV market is insane. They love the EVs. A lot of people who drive over there prefer them, especially with NIO, because there's some important things about NIO that in comparison to other electric vehicle companies that we'll talk about that put them kind of above. So starting off, looking at the past 5 years of the company, it's been crazy. So pre-COVID, this thing was trading at $1 something each. Now it did rocket all the way up to, what's the peak? $60, $62, and has since then fallen off crazily, falling. I remember when they were $20 and now they're down. They went sub 10, with the low being about $7, it looks like, really taking a hit. So there's a number of reasons for this. One, the stock was way overhyped. It was way overpriced for what they were delivering. They didn't have a lot of deliveries. They weren't showing like they were going to be doing phenomenally in the near future, and people were buying it because it was a hype stock. This was like an AMC, GME type of stock. And that's why this chart looks like this. So there are some good things. We'll keep talking about the good things about NIO. I do own this company for full transparency. I bought it. I don't even remember when. I'm not doing too hot, as you can tell. I'll tell you one thing. I did not buy it at $60. I bought it more on sale, and then it continued to fall. So I'm still negative. I'm looking into buying some more now because of the outlook of the company. There are a lot of negatives because this is a newer, smaller company. Small, it's a $16 billion market cap, but compared to like some of the giants that are in the business, Ford and Tesla, it is a little bit on the smaller side. But they have some new models coming out. The main one is the ET5, their station wagon as a touring. This thing looks amazing. It looks absolutely phenomenal. So they recently announced this launch. EV maker NIO launched its first electronic station wagon, the ET5 Touring. All electric, super cool, European market in mind, rival BMW, Porsche, and other premium automakers in the territory. The BMW EVs are pretty cool looking. The Porsche ones are beautiful, of course. So they are definitely tagging a more expensive market. These ones are pretty expensive. I think it talks about the price. It's going to be expensive, so they're definitely higher end vehicles. Beautiful looking. I mean, it looks like a Subaru, in my opinion, like an upgraded Subaru. No offense, I love Subarus, but absolutely beautiful. So definitely targeting a specific market with this, which I do like. Towing capabilities. The front, it looks like a space car. It looks like the future to me. Inside is just beautiful. I know they're expensive cars, but look, you can't beat that. Simplistic. Of course, I don't drive one of these. I wish I did. They're pretty expensive. So $32,000. Cheap. Okay, so let's see. Starting $42,000, good for 270 miles. That's decent. 347 miles is great. Battery as a service option for 32. Okay, so the battery as a service. So from my understanding, what sets NIO apart specifically, not even just in China, but all over, is how they charge. So you have some models that can be recharged, similar to Tesla and Lucid and Ford, all of them. And then they have, I believe, this battery as a service option, unless they've changed it. From my understanding, a couple months ago when I was reading up on it, you don't charge the battery yourself. The battery dies and you go to like a gas station, obviously not a real gas station, you go to one of their charging stations, and instead of sitting there and charging the battery, they replace the battery and keep the old one and give you a full new battery. Now, the way they do this is that they save money because they can charge it. I'm not sure if it costs money to swap the battery. Maybe there is a set fee and that's why it's cheaper. But then they get the older batteries, they can recharge them, reutilize them, recycle them, and put them into newer batteries, and then again swap them out. So it's a really interesting way of doing this. It's supposed to take like a matter of minutes. They can just drill out the whole bottom section that holds the battery, put in the new one, and of course if there's any issues you'll know right away because the car won't move. So definitely a really interesting way to look at EVs, and more futuristic in my opinion. I think it'd be so cool if Tesla did something like this where say you're on a road trip, you're going to drive for about 12 hours, you're going to go 400 or 500 miles, and you get to 300 miles and your car's out of battery. You pull into a station, they swap the battery out in a matter of minutes, and then you're on the road again. Even though the fast charging can only take like 20 minutes, sometimes a little more than that, it's still a lot to plan. You never get as much charge as you expect. So that would just be so cool if they could do that. And so I think NIO is really smart in that sense, especially with being in China, if they're in the city, and it's difficult to charge. That's one of the first things that they were talking about when they did this. Was they had a video of someone charging their Tesla out their window from the third story with 3 huge extension cords down to the street to charge the Tesla below because there was nowhere to charge it. So that's something that NIO did to kind of combat that in big cities. And I think as the world shifts towards these electric vehicles, big cities are going to be a huge target. That's where a lot of people are going to want them, and that fixes a problem that these vehicles do have. Now that would make it so you have to go maybe once every week, once every 2 weeks and swap your battery out, but it's a lot faster and a lot simpler than charging it, out the window. So it's a beautiful car. This article talks all about it, and I mean, it's stunning. You can't argue that the cars aren't good looking. Maybe you don't like that style, that's okay, but still, overall, I think it's really interesting. Now, we talked about their share price. Beautiful. They are on sale, so they announced the share price is on sale because of how beaten down it is. They did announce that the price cut's similar to Tesla down. They're cutting about 6 to 9%, which isn't anything crazy, but it is good. Opens up a little bit more availability for lower income families or groups, businesses, stuff like that. Now, this is the 12-month forecast from TipRanks. So I pulled this screen grab because it was really interesting to me. They have 4 experts. Now, when they say experts, you never really know. This guy is rated 5 stars, and he has it rated as a buy, but you never want to just trust people on the internet, even if they say they're financial advisors. Sometimes monkeys guess better than financial advisors. So 8 buy ratings, 4 hold, and 0 sell, with the low expected being a $7.50, which from here would be a little bit of a fall. I'm not sure exactly how much. Be about a 12-13% dip, and a high of 13, which would be a nice jump. Definitely would appreciate that. But again, you can't go based solely off what experts are saying. But it is nice that you can see what the sentiment is from the experts. And now it is $1 lower than when this was forecasted. So take that with a grain of salt. You never truly know. Now let's go into the cons of the company. And there are quite a few. All their information. This is densely compacted information, and it's not very pretty. This took me forever to read through, and somehow I still am just getting lost. So, current assets, cash. I want to look up their deliveries, and we can talk about that because the deliveries are probably one of the most important things. Of course, loss from operations, net loss. Okay, jumping into it, negative PE ratio. So yes, they're losing money. The net loss, they are losing quite a bit of money. It looks like they are losing less money than they have been the past quarters, which is good, but still a bummer that they are losing money. But companies early on in the stages lose money for a number of years, but I would expect NIO to do a little bit better, to be honest. Okay, vehicle sales. In March 31, 2023, they have a lot of sales. There's no way that's 1.3 million. What are they doing? In dollars, duh. 1.3 million in US dollars, which is pretty great. And then they go back to, I see, RMB. So they have it in the other currency and they switch it up. So 2022, 9 million. December 2022, almost 15 million, and then 2023 back down to 9 million again. almost exactly the same, only off by like 400. That's pretty crazy. So revenues are down a little bit. So revenues up, sales are down a little bit compared to what their December quarter looked like for 2022, their Q4 of 2022. But there was a little bit of a boom at that time, so I'm not surprised by that. Of course, there's a lot of things that go into it politically with China that do play an impact how their economy does versus the U.S. economy. I'm not 100% sure how they're doing if they're moving these to the U.S. I know that was their goal a while ago, but I haven't heard an update, and they didn't talk about it in this report. So interesting to think about that. If you guys know, comment down below if they're planning on trying to get these in the U.S. I think it'd be really cool and really popular, especially for the big cities like I was saying. So they are negative PE ratio, losing money still. That's scary. Their Q2 expectations, they were expecting about 25,000 vehicles delivered or sold. So lower than this last quarter and the quarter before that one, Q4 of 22 and Q1 of 2023. They're expecting lower, which is never good. You don't like to hear that. Shareholders don't like to hear that. So I wouldn't be surprised if the price fell a little bit more. It's down about 4% today, so that could be part of that. Tesla competitor. Tesla is huge in China. I do like how NIO has that charge as a service, which is different and something that sets it apart from Tesla, although Tesla could come out with something just like that. Who knows? Deliveries decreasing year over year. You don't like to see that, but they did go through a huge bubble, and the markets went through a pretty big bubble. So once they level out, I'll be watching NIO super closely. I'm going way too long on the video. 85% drop from the peak price. Again, it's hard to relate that. Normally, that would rule out a stock for me if they're down 85%, but the fact that it was an overhyped retail play definitely changes things. So those are my thoughts on NIO. Let me know what you guys think down below. Again, this is not financial advice. If you could like and subscribe, that helps me out a bunch. I appreciate that. I'm going to be watching NIO pretty closely. I'm not going to buy in quite yet, and you should always do your own research and decide that on your own. But I think this one could have some crazy potential, especially even if it gets to a fourth the size of Tesla. This would do phenomenally. They seem to have really good ideas. They're implementing things pretty well. The business is run relatively well, in my opinion, although I'm not an expert on that, so don't take my word for that. They've got good sentiment in the market. We just kind of have to get out of this dip, and then I think that NIO could do well. The market seemed to be turning, and so I'll be watching this one closely. But again, it's higher risk because it is a Chinese company. But I do appreciate you guys for watching this far. Again, drop a comment, drop a like, drop a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.